This week marks the 5-year anniversary of the infamous GameStop short squeeze, and what a time it was to be alive during that historical event. I myself remember scrolling through Wall Street Bets, looking at all the funny memes, people yelling GME to the moon, and some folks going all in on quote-unquote meme stocks. And since that historical event, GameStop hasn't really been in mainstream news a whole lot. And whenever you hear someone mention GameStop, you'll often hear people kind of shrug their shoulders or roll their eyes and say, oh, it's just a meme stock. But that narrative is shifting this week as we have the world famous investor Michael Burry from the movie The Big Short, played by Christian Bale, talking about what a great value investing opportunity GameStop is in the market today. We've got the CEO Ryan Cohen being interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, talking about how soon GameStop is going to do something that's never been done before, and they're looking into possible acquisitions. And so in this video, I just want to give a quick recap of everything that's gone on this week, because to be quite honest, there is a lot that has happened. Now, I just want to be clear, I am not a professional investor. I am not a financial advisor. This video is not financial advice. This video is not meant to be pro GameStop. It's not meant to be anti GameStop. I'm just sharing some of the news that's been going on this week around GameStop. This is not a GameStop news channel. However, whenever something does happen with GameStop that I find interesting, I will more than likely be making a video talking about it. Please do your own due diligence and your own research. Do not use solely this video to make an investment decision. Investing in any stock carries risk, so please do your own due diligence, and I recommend talking to a financial advisor. So what's been going on with GameStop this week? Well, like I said, Michael Burry is talking about it. He just published a Substack article earlier this week on Monday titled "Final Stop GameStop, the Jig is Up." And Burry was fully transparent, stating that he has bought GME and he is continuing to buy GME at its current valuation. He makes the argument that buying GameStop is an asymmetric bet because of its balance sheet rather than the current retail business, the legacy business that GameStop has run on for years. Burry claims he's buying shares at approximately 1 times the net asset value. Now, what exactly does that mean? Burry is making the argument that when you buy a share of GameStop stock, you are buying into its cash and assets and getting the business that comes with it for free. So in other words, there's minimal downside with huge potential upside. Now, if you haven't been following GameStop, the first thing you might think when you hear that is what cash on hand, what assets? I thought GameStop was near bankruptcy 5 years ago. And you would be correct. However, they've been able to accumulate billions of dollars, yes, billions with a B, in cash in the past couple years. Much of this cash, of course, coming from the couple of share offerings that they did after the run-up in May of 2024. Now, generally, share offerings are looked at negatively. However, Michael Burry states that he believes the share offering that GameStop did was a net positive. It was a way to raise capital without diluting the value of the stock to a high degree. Additionally, it's worth noting that the CEO, Ryan Cohen, doesn't actually take a salary. He doesn't get any cash bonuses. He doesn't get any equity that vests simply based on time at the company. His entire incentive package is at risk and tied to massive growth milestones. Now, there's 10 separate tranches of milestones here, with the highest one being that the company needs to reach a market cap of $100 billion with a cumulative EBITDA hurdle of $10 billion. And just to put things into perspective, GameStop right now is at an approximately $10 billion market cap. So as far as publicly traded companies go, I'm not sure there's really any other CEO that has as much skin in the game as Ryan Cohen does right now with GameStop. And that's not really me sharing an opinion, that's just me stating a fact, because oftentimes with a lot of big publicly traded companies, you see the CEO taking huge cash payouts, huge stock incentives, stock options, but Ryan Cohen doesn't get any incentives until the company starts growing at a significant rate. Now, while Michael Burry seems to be very bullish on GameStop, he is not bullish on the legacy business and believes that it is something that's currently being milked efficiently to fund a larger acquisition or some type of transformation internally at GameStop. Michael Burry also stated that he is not waiting for or relying on a short squeeze to realize long-term value of GameStop. He simply sees this as a great value investing opportunity. He's not buying into GameStop saying, oh, GameStop to the moon, meme stock. it's gonna go up all the way. Highest stock, biggest short squeeze of all time. No, none of that. Michael Burry is looking at this strictly from a value investing perspective, and he's just like, how can I not buy into this company? The one aspect of the GameStop business that Michael Burry seemed a little bit neutral on, at least for the time being, is the $500 million worth of Bitcoin that GameStop currently owns. He claims he's not really sure he understands it, but that being said, the CEO is very young. GameStop has $9 billion in cash on hand, and its only debt really is convertible notes that are at 0% interest. I mean, as far as debt goes, you can't really get much better than 0% on your loan, right? So we had this article from Michael Burry at the beginning of the week, and then a few days later, the Wall Street Journal interviewed Ryan Cohen, and he's coming out with some firepower. I mean, he's got some interesting words regarding the future of GameStop. He claims he's eyeing a big acquisition of a publicly traded company, likely in the consumer or retail industry. He claims to have a handful of targets in mind and intends to approach them soon. And to quote Cohen directly, he says it's transformational, not just for GameStop, but ultimately within the capital markets. This is something that really has never been done before within the history of the capital markets. Those are some really insane words. Now, of course, Ryan Cohen has plenty of experience in the consumer and retail industry, having been the co-founder of Chewy. Now, I'm sure everyone knows that Chewy is currently an online retailer for pet products, but when they first opened up, they were actually a jewelry store online, and if it weren't for the pivot to the pet industry, things definitely would have gone way south. And with that in mind, Ryan Cohen did say in the interview that this move that GameStop is going to make is either going to make them look like a bunch of geniuses, or they're going to look very foolish and it's going to be a huge blunder. Regardless, the transition from nearly bankrupt company that's treated as a meme stock to what it has become today with billions of cash on hand, the legacy business, of course, still hanging around. GameStop has shed some of the fat. They shut down a bunch of stores, not just in the US, but globally, trying to focus on a smaller number of profitable stores rather than opening stores and keeping them open for the sake of having them open. And within the last couple years, they also partnered with PSA and have transitioned more into the collectibles space. So all in all, GameStop is in a very interesting spot. I think it's one of the hottest topics in the market currently. And honestly, a breath of fresh air not having to talk about another AI related company. Now, like I said before, this is not a GameStop news channel. This is not me telling you to buy GameStop, hold GameStop, sell GameStop. But of course, if something exciting happens with GameStop in the near future, especially some kind of big acquisition that has never happened within the capital markets before, oh yeah, we're talking about it.